everyone, it's Hayes, and in today's video I'm going to be ranking my least favourite Miraculous episodes, my bottom 10. So hopefully last week, assuming spoilers didn't disrupt the consecutive release of these videos, I told you what my top 10 episodes were in the order, so now it's time to do the bottom 10. And as I also said in that video, I had recently rewatched all of Miraculous in order to do the timeline video, so I also have a pretty good idea of which episodes I don't like. You know, I found out which ones I absolutely loved, and I also found out which ones I didn't like so much. Now, same deal as in the top 10, that was my top 10 and now this is my bottom 10. Mine. Okay, there are over 100 episodes to pick from. I will be absolutely shocked if you end up with the same 10 episodes as me and in the exact same order. I am expecting a handful of you to maybe share a maximum of 3 of me, but I'm not expecting the list to be identical. I know some of you get worried when you disagree with me. Please don't worry, okay? We're not all meant to have the same opinions, okay? It's totally fine if you disagree with me. I'm not expecting anyone to wholeheartedly agree with me with my ranking for the top 10 or the bottom 10, and I would love to know what your bottom 10 episodes are and why. Now, the episodes on this list don't necessarily have the worst writing quality, as I said in my top 10. Bad writing quality doesn't always relate to my enjoyment of the episode. I'm not ranking them based on writing quality. We could totally do that if you want. There will be some crossover if we did that. Some of the episodes on this list also don't have the best writing quality, but I'm ranking them based on my enjoyment of the episodes. So we'll talk about what exactly I dislike about these episodes, because that's just the way it is. And basically when I was doing the timeline, I was just writing down the episodes. I was just like, when can this be over? When can I go to the next one? The thing with the timeline, it was I was having to really pay attention to every episode. Like sometimes when I have to rewatch the show, I'll have it on the background whilst I'm doing something else, but I was having to really closely pay attention to what was being said, because there's often clues in the dialogue about how the timeline is unfolding. For example, in The Bubbler, Sabrina says towards the end, when they come back to school and Adrian's wearing the scarf, Adrian didn't get his gift yesterday on his birthday because there were no adults able to deliver it, obviously referencing the events of The Bubbler. So The Bubbler happens on 2 consecutive days due to lines like that. So I was really having to listen closely. The Bubbler's not on this list. But I was just like, with some episodes, I knew I had to watch all of it and I had to really listen to all the lines and stuff and look at visual cues like what time of day it is, has there been a sunset or whatever. But like, there were some episodes I was just like, no. Okay, the episodes on this list are the ones where I sat down to watch them and I was immediately like,
no! God, please, no! No! No!
I know I have to rewatch a lot of the show just to make videos. That's what having a Miraculous YouTube channel is about, is just part of the job, which is fine. I'm completely fine with that. But these are the episodes where I'm just like, do I have to? I don't like it. So apologies if any of my bottom 10 were on your top 10. I'm filming this straight after the top 10, so I haven't seen any comments on the top 10 because as of filming, that video's not out. So in last place, in 10th place, so 10th is like the 10th worst and then first place will be whatever the worst is. So in 10th place is Desperado. I do not enjoy this episode. I find Snake Miraculous episodes often quite boring and repetitive. Wishmaker Risen, I feel like it always brings a lot of new and fresh things. Intuition, it's not on this list, but it did kind of suffer from the exact same thing. That episode felt like it dragged on for absolutely ages. So Wishmaker shows that a Snake Miraculous episode doesn't have to be boring and repetitive. I understand the nature of the Snake Miraculous is that it is meant to be repetitive, but Wishmaker, each time Luca does a second chance, it brings something new and interesting and fresh to the cycle, whereas Desperado, I was just like, can we just get over this? Another reason why it's not my favourite is because it has a lot of Ladybug in it. I know there's not a lot of Ladybug in the show, which thank God, because it's so boring. The reason I love the Love Square, but I don't like Ladybug. I know a lot of people are like, it's the same 2 people. I know that, but they act differently depending which form they're in and who they're with. And Ladybug and Adrian are just like, oh, you're so perfect. No, you're so perfect. And they just end up staring and smiling at each other. And it's really boring. The other dynamics bring a bit of something different, and Adrian's just like, you are wonderful. And the other one's like, I know, so are you. I know. And he just goes around in a circle like that. It's just really boring. I don't like Adrian. I find it a bit cringe. And honestly, just this episode seems really disconnected and seems a bit cold. I don't know how to describe it. I just hope you understand what I'm trying to say. In 9th place is The Puppeteer 2. Now we all know why this episode is here, which scene I am referencing. To be fair, I don't think the episode overall is that bad. Is it one of the best? No. But it's alright. However, this scene just absolutely tanks it, because I was just like, what is the purpose of this scene? What were you doing? Like, I understand now we've got determination. Adrian's like, yeah, that was the reason I fell in love with Marinette, and I was just like, I don't buy that for more than 0.5 seconds, Adrian. You didn't like what she was trying to do, which, fair enough, I wouldn't have liked it either. But then to turn around and be like, yeah, that's when I fell in love. No. No. I just don't get the point of it. I'd like it more if Marinette confessed to Adrian's statue, or what she thought was a statue, to try and practice it to his face, and he didn't do anything and she just walked away. And he was like, oh, I found out she's in love with me. But he doesn't know what to do with this information because he doesn't return the feelings. He's still in love with Ladybug at that point, slash kind of got a thing for Kagami, but he's all the time he's liked Ladybug. It's the weird relationship. Okay. So I'd like it if she just confessed to him, but didn't try to kiss him, because why would you want to kiss a wax statue? Wait, wax statues are freaky. The only reason they look the same is because they use the same 3D models in the show. Actual wax statues are weird. Why would anyone want to go to a museum? I don't like them. So I think this episode could have been saved basically by Marinette confessing her feelings to Statue Adrian and then being like, it's not gonna work or whatever, and she just leaves. And then he finds out and maybe he starts to see her differently, which could kickstart this sudden feelings revelation he has for her at the start of multiplication. Yeah, there's just, I didn't understand the point of it, and it just basically ruins the whole episode for me. I don't enjoy it because the entire time I'm watching the episode, like when I was watching it for the timeline video, I was just like sat there like this and I was like, I know it's gonna come, I'm not sure when I know it happens for the Akuma attack, it's gonna come soon, it's gonna happen. And I was just like, take it away. Don't want it. In 8th place is the episode Lies. Now there's so many things about this episode I don't like. I think Truth is better, a much better companion to Lies, but Lies is no, don't like. There are just so many things I don't like about this episode, the ending being one of them, where during fencing, after they've broken up, Kagami shoves Adrian against a wall. No. And do you know how many people, in my commentary for it, so I hadn't even hit 1,000 subscribers at that point. I think I had like 800, which was still great. And the amount of people who saw it, and I was like, wow, this is amazing, I'm getting great views on this video. Majority of people came to that video to tell me off for calling Kagami out for physically abusing Adrian. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand why she was angry. The way he led her on was horrible, which is another reason why I don't like the episode, because I really don't feel that's like part of Adrian's character. I understand he had to lie to her to go and be Cat Noir, he couldn't spend as much time with her as he wanted because of being Cat Noir, because of his father. I get it, but him leading her on thinking they have a chance in this relationship when after the Akuma he's like, ah, Ladybug, and it's like, well, you obviously don't like Kagami then, or at least not in that way, if you're like, Ladybug, straight after and you still haven't broken up with her. So I didn't like that aspect either. Do I acknowledge that Adrian also hurt Kagami? Yes, absolutely. But then that doesn't give Kagami an excuse to abuse Adrian. You know, no. The amount of people who have just told me like, no, it's not nice you said that about Kagami. First of all, Kagami is a fictional character, she'll get over it. She's not real. Second of all, why is the show trying to promote, yeah, if a boy finishes with you because he doesn't have feelings for you, that it's okay to hit him or push him against the wall, whatever. I still don't understand the vile comments I got about me saying that. Still don't get it, to be honest. But anyway, so what Kagami does to Adrian is the reason I didn't like it. How Adrian treats Kagami, I didn't like. It just kind of left a sour taste in my mouth the whole episode. And one thing I was so mad about was the charms. Kagami's Akuma is partially caused because of the charm, because it falls out of Adrian's pocket. I mean, him lying to her as well. But like, these charms, they were set up as like being so important and they're referenced all the time, but they just never do anything with them. And I'm like, come on, please. What I was really hoping for in season 5, which just didn't happen and Marinette seemed fine, was Marinette would be like, I don't even know if this Adrian is the real Adrian. Then he could get out the charm she gave and be like, yeah, it's me. And then every time she would have to check it's the real Adrian because she's now paranoid. Because she could have heard what happened from Ladybug or whatever. She could ask him to get out the charm and it could be a point of connection for them. And it just never happens. It makes me angry. Okay. In 7th place is a season 5 episode, Collusion. I was kind of stuck between Collusion and Revolution, but I think Collusion just makes me a tiny bit more angrier than Revolution. Don't get me wrong, I really dislike the end of Revolution, what they do to Chloe, but I like the rest of the episode, kind of. So I don't mind it so much. Collusion was worse for me. Just slowly destroying Chloe for no reason, with the most random nonsensical plot point of her becoming mayor at the end of it. Not that I know much about French law or specifically Paris law, but I wouldn't have thought a child could become mayor. I think. I don't actually know, but it's just like, what? What? I don't get the point of it. I understand that they obviously don't want Chloe to be good, they don't want to have a redemption, but I'm like, okay, that's fine. I don't mind either way, but I'm like, if we're gonna do it, if we're gonna make Chloe evil, then let's do it. Let's make her really evil. And they just do random stuff like this with her and I'm like, why? What? Why? 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 I don't know. It's just really strange. Honestly, Miss Bustier seemed towards the end the only person truly there for Chloe. And like, Chloe isn't destructive in class, she was just being out of character for the writer's nefarious purposes, basically. The ending, just, no, terrible. And also Miss Bustier's Akuma outfit was awful. It was just altogether unenjoyable, which I'm really sad about because I want to know more about Giselle, Miss Bustier's girlfriend, wife? I'm not sure if they were married or not. I want to know more about it, and it was her debut episode and I feel so bad for her that it was awful, basically. In 6th place is Chris Master. Now, I do not like Chris, I do not keep this a secret, and I get so many comments asking, hey, oh my god, what's he done? Why do you hate him so much? So, the reason I hate Chris, it's nothing deep, okay? I have 3 brothers, okay? There are 4 of us all together, I am the only girl. I have 3 brothers, 1 older, 2 younger. Individually, all 3 of them are very annoying, but if you rolled them all together and made them into one person, they would be Chris, alright? That's the reason I dislike him. Okay, and I know a lot of people saying, well, I think he's actually voiced by the same voice actor for Mark, who is your favourite character. I'm like, you're totally right, he is my favourite character. But it doesn't matter, because he does a really good job of playing both my favourite character and my least favourite character, of changing his voice and really giving each character different mannerisms, because I absolutely adore Mark and I would adopt him today if I could. And I hate Chris. I can't stand him. The episode makes me angry having to see Chris on screen. I don't mind Time Tiger as much because he's less annoying when he's a bit older, but Chris at the current age, do not like. The plot of the episode, I'm just like, I don't like the Akuma. Also, the Akuma outfit makes him look like he's devil spawn or something. No, I don't think it's well written. And even if they swapped out Chris for Ella or Etta or both of them, which I much prefer, they're my favourite of like the younger children in the show. Ella and Etta are the best, then Manon, and then like Chris. It's like Ella, Etta, Manon, Chris. No, there's nowhere else to fill the gap apart from Baby August and Miss Bustier's baby, who I've conveniently forgotten the name of. But yeah, even if they changed out who the Akuma was, I still wouldn't have liked it. It's not a very good episode. And adding Chris in just makes me dislike it even more. So yeah, not a fan. In 5th place is Heart Hunter. Like I said, I often have a bit of a problem with the part 1s of the part 2 stuff, because it's just a setup. And whilst this did have like a plot on its own, I really didn't like it. The episode makes me quite sad and annoyed, mainly because of the shipping. Kagami does seem to be kind of forcing Adrian into a relationship with her, which I do not like. I don't like people being forced into stuff like that. And like, there are just not many points in their very short-lived relationship together that I actually think he even liked her even slightly. So yeah, that's not good. And I understand why Kagami picks Kagami over Chloe because of jealousy, and the rush of it all causes what happens to Master Fu. I get it, but first of all, I don't find it enjoyable to watch, and also second of all, if we're being real, Marinette shouldn't have picked either girl. Like, one thing that really annoys me with Ladybug's double standards is like, Chloe can't be Queen Bee again because Hawkmoth knows who she is. Hawkmoth is well aware who Ryuko is, and she still gets to go out. So, and then after Optigami, she is aware he knows who everyone else is, and they still all get to go out. So, not a fan of that aspect, to be honest. In fourth place is the episode Frozen. So I've talked about this before. Okay, I don't mind the episode basically in its premise where they go on a double date to the ice rink. I am absolutely a-okay with the general premise of the episode, and in fact I actually really love the Akuma where they transform the ice power-ups. Looks amazing, I think it looks great. And I'm really disappointed in season 5 we are completely robbed of Gavy Baby power-ups. I really want to say that. And I don't mind the double date idea. But again, Kagami does seem to be forcing Adrian, which I don't like. And the way Kagami is with Marinette at the ice rink, she's like, make a move or I'm gonna move in. Is basically bullying to me. I've talked about it before. This happened to me more than once when I was in high school. So it is a bit of a sensitive issue for me. And I know I am 27 and the high school in UK finishes at 16. Actually, I finished at 15 because my birthday's in August. So we'd start the school year in September, do the whole year. I'd have all the summer holiday, right at the end of it would be my birthday. Then we'd go back again. So I passed all my exams and even got into college before I turned 16, which was great. So I know it was over 10 years ago now. Wow, I'm old. I know it was over 10 years ago now, but the fact it still upsets me shows how much it affected me, that when an episode of a children's TV show shares a similar plot to stuff that happened to me, I never went to the ice rink, that bit didn't happen, just like the bullying part, shows how much it did affect me and has affected my self-esteem since. Like, you'll know if something like this happened to you in high school, how much it can affect you even over 10 years after, how much it can hurt you. So I'm just like, I'm not a fan of it. Don't get me wrong, my opinions towards Kagami have absolutely improved since. Season 4, towards the end, she did grow on me. Season 5 grew on me even more. But yeah, I do not like Frozen. My perception of Kagami for most of season 3 was that she was a bully, which leads us on to third place, which is Animestro. Now, there are 2 reasons why I hate this episode, and the first one is related to Frozen in the way Kagami is treated. Don't get me wrong, I definitely viewed her as a bully in season 3. However, the way Chloe and Marinette attack her, try to hurt her, I also think is disgusting. I don't like the behaviour from the 2 of them towards her. So even though I didn't like Kagami upon watching Animestro, I thought it was horrible. I hate watching it. This episode literally makes me feel uncomfortable. They were just as bad as Kagami has been during season 3, so I was like, no, absolutely not. The other reason is because Thomas Astruc is in it. You all know how I feel about Thomas Astruc. I do not think he is a very nice person at all. And his basically agenda with this episode was just like, kids don't ask questions, they just get on with it, they love it regardless. They just get the show. And I'm just like, well, they obviously don't, since it was you who had to go on Twitter after Recreation Ed to explain the finale because it wasn't clear enough, so that's fun. So just, yeah, like if he has his own message to share, that's great. But maybe put it in a tweet instead of in a full episode of a kids TV show that are very expensive to produce, you know. So yeah, one of the reasons is Thomas Astruc putting his self-inserts, and he's always routinely wrong about any message he puts in the show because he always has to go on Twitter and clarify it afterwards anyway because it wasn't clear enough, which is just a silly and a waste of time. And the second reason is the way Chloe and Marinette treat Kagami. No, I didn't like Kagami in season 3. But I also don't think she deserved what Marinette and Chloe did to her or were trying to do to her. No, didn't like it, absolutely not. And I just really feel like in Annie Maestro, the whole message of the show about girl power, relationships, working together, friendship is just completely lost when the main character starts doing that. So do not like Annie Maestro, it makes me physically uncomfortable to watch. In second place is an episode I actually cried while having to rewatch for the Timeline episode because of how much I dislike it. And that episode is Santa Claus. Okay, I think the plot of this special, the Christmas special, I know I said I wasn't including the world specials, but those are like an hour long. This is different because it's like a 20-minute episode. So I'm like, okay, so it was like, we can count this one, just not like the reversal in New York or Shanghai. But I was sat here crying watching it. The plot of the special itself, I don't think is that bad, where it's Christmas and Adrian like gets kidnapped by Santa. The plot of it is fine. It's the songs. I can get past some questionable singing, I'm looking at you, Bryce, but the songs themselves, the lyrics, no. I remember before, because I got to go to Paris for the premiere of the Miraculous movie, and I was super lucky and I was so excited for it, and everyone knew I was going because I told everyone, and the amount of DMs and comments I got leading up to it being like, Hayes, I hope you like it, but I know you're not gonna because it's a musical and you hate Santa Claus, you hate musicals. And I was like, hold on, I have never said I hate musicals. I love musicals. Okay, I'm going to London in June to watch 2 musicals. I love musicals. I used to be in musicals as a child in my town and in my high school and stuff. I love musicals. But bad musicals exist and this is one of them. Like, I cried rewatching it because of how terrible it is. I have a visceral reaction to this episode and no. Basically it's a no. Now finally, in first place, very much like the first place of the top 10, I think if you've been here for any length of time you can possibly guess what I'm going to put in first place, because I talk about it ad nauseum about how much I dislike it, and that is representation. The only good things about this episode are Cat Noir / Adrian getting to sort of confront his dad but also kind of not really, and him being able to defeat the Akuma without Ladybug. He can't purify it, I know, but he does defeat the Akuma. And that's it. To me, representation was an absolute waste of time. First of all, there was a lot of confusion around the play parts specifically, not the Adrian bit. I think everyone understood the Adrian bit. A lot of people were confused to the point I've been asked about 10 times now to do a video explaining the history of the Grander Vanilli family. Like, the amount of people who are confused, okay? So that's not good when there's like, majority of my audience are 18 plus. Which I know is higher than the target audience of the show, but when adults are having to ask me to explain something shown in a kids' TV show, that's not great. You know what I mean? It should be clear. If the adults are getting confused, I wonder how the kids are faring. You know what I mean? But also on top of that, it was just useless. Like, Ladybug's done all this hard work to try and defeat Hawk Daddy. She got given a clue in Deflagration that he's reconfigured the rings, which she then does nothing with the information. She doesn't once think out loud and consider it. She just does nothing. She's like, you reconfigured the rings. And then goes to bed like nothing's happened. Okay. But then Felix, after all that hard work, is just like, yeah, here's his identity, here you go, there you go. So I'm like, okay, Marinette, go purify the Akuma and then we go off to the Aggress Mansion. Let's take him down. She doesn't. She waits a whole day. And how do I know it's a whole day? Okay, so representation, it's at night most of the episode, okay? So Adrian's plane takes off, she goes to party the Eiffel Tower, she follows who she thinks is Adrian but is Felix to the school, whilst Cat Noir is fighting the Akuma. The next morning she wakes up in the art room because she stayed over at school, woo, good for her. And when she looks out the window, sunrise, daylight. She goes home to get changed out of her dress. She sees she has a message from Alia on her phone about the Akuma. She goes to purify it. Okay, that's where the episode basically ends. Confirmation opens with Marinette waking up from her Akuma-induced nightmare. When she gets home from representation, she has gone home to get changed into her civilian clothes, not into pyjamas, okay, because she's just woken up. It's very early in the morning, but it's still morning nonetheless. So Marinette waits a whole day between the ending of representation and the opening of confirmation to do something. What does she do? I don't know. But she doesn't go to the arrest mansion to defeat Gaby Baby. She's like, oh, this is interesting. And then in confirmation, when she goes to the house and she sees Gabriel de-transformed, she's like, oh my god, I didn't know. This is amazing. You found out in representation. Don't get me wrong, I love the moment where she finds out in confirmation. I think it was great, but it was completely any satisfaction from her seeing that was completely lost, because A, she was just right place, right time, which kind of misses out on her having a big revelation of working it out for herself, and 2, Felix already told you. So if you wanted that massive revelation, then why did we have it in representation? It was a waste of time. I don't get it. And there's more as well. Like, I think it's in keeping with Felix's character not to tell anyone, including Marinette, who he knows is Ladybug by this point, who Gaby Baby is. Like, he is Monarch Daddy. I get it. However, even though I'm not Kagami's biggest fan, I do think in terms of her morals, she is a good person. She is good. Completely good. Strong good. I can't remember, like, Joe in D&D, they have like chaotic good, chaotic neutral. Whatever the absolute best you could be in terms of morals, that is Kagami. She has a very strong moral compass. Okay, and I think wholeheartedly the moment she found out that Gaby Baby was Monarch Daddy, she'd be straight to Marinette, because she already knows Marinette is Ladybug by this point. She'd go. And she doesn't. She keeps this to herself since, I would assume, since the end of Pretension, since we don't actually see when Kagami finds out. She keeps this to herself for a week or so, which isn't in keeping with her character. And this episode makes me so frustrated because it was such a useless episode. They could have done something much better, and no, maybe they could have used this episode for Marinette to finally start trying to piece things together and work it out for herself, because as she says in confirmation, when she goes to the Egress Mansion, she wakes up, she goes there for the purpose of wanting to find Adrien. She wants to know where he is. Not because what she found out in representation. She is there to find Adrien. She is not there to defeat Gabriel. When the confirmation opens, it's like she has no idea what she's just been told. It's like it never happened. And it's just that the show doesn't even acknowledge it's happened. It's like the show, whoever wrote confirmation was not the same person who wrote representation. They're like, yeah, we're just gonna forget it. Which I try to do routinely, because I think it's terrible. I think it's a waste of time. They wasted an episode. It was a bad decision. The worst decision they've had in the show. Okay. Anyway, besties, that was my bottom 10, with Desperado being the best of the worst and representation being the worst of the worst. Of course, I would love to know what your least favourite episodes are. Again, apologies if any of my bottom 10 were on your top 10, but feel free to stick guilt trip on your bottom 10 if I've made you angry. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!